sing Allah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of the Almighty Lord be upon each and every one of you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidi Mursaleen wa Khatam al-Nabiyyin Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. All praise and glory belongs to Almighty God, the creator of the heavens and the universe. And we send salutations, greetings, love and salam in abundance to the master of mankind, the best of creation, Muhammad al-Mustafa, Mujtaba Rasulullah, Habibullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. It's 5 p.m. It's Friday. I hope you're all feeling good, which means, of course, it is time for Drive Time on Friday the 22nd of April here in the heart of Leicester Sharif on this glorious third Friday of the wonderful, blessed, the glorious, sacred, fabulous month of Ramadan here. I hope you guys are well. How's it all going? It's the last day of the school holidays. The kids, unlucky, back to school on Monday. Yes, and you'll be fasting as well. So not that I take any kind of pleasure from that, but it'll be good to have my two out of the house from Monday to Friday next week so I can actually concentrate on doing some work. What is going on, people? I hope you are well. 21st of Ramadan, we are now well into the last portion of this great month, and the rewards are being multiplied significantly, infinitely. Who knows what you're going to get? Alhamdulillah, this is the time that we need to just use and maximize to make sure that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not forget us when he is handing out the rewards and handing out those golden tickets into Jannah, inshallah, where we will all be and reside living in peace and harmony and all that great stuff. So I hope it is going well, and I hope mums, I hope your kids gave you hugs yesterday as I instructed them to do so. So let me know if you did get a hug. And kids are, just keep giving your mums lots of hugs, and that's all good. Right, before we introduce today's guest, we got a bit of a special one for you folks. I just want to remind everyone of the Leicester Hospitals charity fundraising effort that we are doing here on Ramadan Radio. I am proud to say that we are supporting the charity, and we would like you to go on to the justgiving.com website and donate some money so the little warriors can get some Eid presents who are unfortunately going to be spending this Eid in the hospital. So if you've got a few pounds to spare, kids, youngsters, whoever it is, go on there and give whatever you can and put a smile on your Muslim brother or sister's face this Eid, inshallah. Okay, so before I introduce my guest for today, let me give you the numbers that you need to know. It is 077 488 55055. And today's guest joining me today, a bit excited about this one. We have a sister from Leicester who is a guest speaker for Demontfort University. She is the ambassador for the Society for Mucopolysaccharide MPS diseases in the UK, and she's a rare disease disability advocate. And on top of that, she's a bit of a local legend. It's my pleasure to be able to welcome Sister Aisha Seedat to Drive Time. Assalamu alaikum, sister. How you doing?
Walaikum salam. It's a pleasure to be on the show, and I'm just surprised how you got the whole mucopolysaccharide term correct. Not even my consultants can get it right.
Really?
Even my parents or my family. So
what can I say? Well, I try my best, and I know from my perspective, it's really important to get things like this correctly because it is important. We have to recognize people's names, titles, and these sorts of things properly. So I do make an effort, and that somebody with my surname as well, people never get my surname right. I know how important it is to make sure we get things like this. So, Sister Aisha, first of all, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm not too bad. Doing well.
Ramadan going well?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, it's not too bad, bit up and down, but with my grandparents have been quite unwell, had COVID, and my granddad had a stroke on Saturday. So
Allahu Akbar. Well, we make dua, and I ask all of our listeners to make dua for your grandparents, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them shifa kamil and give you all the strength and the patience to overcome this illness, inshallah. So thank you so much for coming. Really great to have you on. And we're going to be talking about disability, living with disability, and what can be done to help make our disabled brothers and sisters feel more included in the community and the society we live in. So first of all, tell us, what is mucopolysaccharide?
So Mucopolysaccharide is a very rare genetic condition. There are actually 7 types. I have the 4th type. So if you don't want to say mucopolysaccharide, you could say Morquio syndrome type 4A. So basically, I lack an enzyme in my body. My organs grow a normal size. Obviously that's compacted, and I do have day-to-day, struggles. So, for example, I've got a bit of, like a hearing impairment, got curvature on my spine, got short limbs, got very lax wrists as well. I was able to walk, but I stopped at the age of 10. Alhamdulillah, there is ERT for some Morquio adults, but because I've got airway complications over the years, I was on the ERT, but I had to come off it because I had a reaction to it.
Just explain what ERT is. Was it ERT you mentioned?
So ERT is the enzyme replacement therapy.
Right.
So the enzyme that I lack is the daily infusion, so I had to travel to Manchester to have this infusion. I had 5 infusions, alhamdulillah. I had like amazing strength in my upper body. My handwriting got neater, and I was, very more alert. I was able to breathe properly, which was great. But then when it came to the 5th infusion, I had a reaction, so unfortunately I had to come off it. I was very upset, and I did want to go back on it, me being really young back then. I was very naive. I didn't know what it meant by, me coming off this trial. But alhamdulillah, I've seen like with other of my friends that are on it, they've had fast, improvement with their quality of life, they're getting better. There is a chance for me to go back onto the enzyme replacement therapy in smaller doses, but because the pandemic coming in the way, there was no way they would be able to, have me in a hospital environment just yet, because I'd have to be admitted onto a ward surrounded by all these health professionals to ensure I am okay and that nothing happens to my airway.
Sure. Okay, so just a bit more about the disease then. Is this something that doctors diagnosed upon your birth, or was it something that they realized later on? And how is it detected in a child?
So with me, I would say I'd probably be one of the luckiest. I was diagnosed at 6 months of age. All the signs were there as soon as I was born. So the protruding of my chest, the curvature on my spine. As soon as I was born, the nurses would often say that, we can cover it with cosmetic surgery, because obviously they hadn't known about this condition. I had loads of tests done, and I was actually diagnosed by Dr. Nishani by 6 months of age. So he was a consultant pediatrician at that time. And we were very lucky then, but the main centre of the condition is either London, Manchester or Birmingham. I was transferred to see a specialist in Birmingham first, but then but the main centre where all the care was done in Manchester. So I've been up and down Manchester all 24 years of my life now. If you look at it, because it's so rare, and looking at statistics, it does take several years to diagnose this condition. There are some right now who are adults, like probably in the mid-20s, who have got this condition, but it's not being officially diagnosed for them yet. And because I'm an ambassador for the society, I'm on a lot of these, MPS, Morquio groups, I often have parents saying that they've spotted their child or their, growing up son or daughter have all these signs and symptoms, but the doctors where they are, there is just no, either there's no knowledge, there's no understanding, or it's taking a while to diagnose.
Okay, so you mentioned it's a rare disease. I don't suppose you would happen to know how many people currently are living in the UK with MPS, or how many in maybe 100,000 or 100,000, how many people are affected by this? Do you have any statistics you can share with our listeners?
So with our condition, or they could talk about on all rare disease, it's only 1 in 17, so it's very rare. There's a lot of campaigns, at the moment to talk about, that's come up ever since, the pandemic, to talk about, it is very, very rare. And it's surprising that, even there's all these rare diseases frameworks that have come out, which I've been promoting a lot recently, because there's these priorities, so like what doctors should do, that they should diagnose their patient faster, they should give them their treatment, third, access to treatment. There is like priority like numbers, but now, inshallah, I'm hoping in the future there is more awareness around not just MPS but other related diseases. That are rare, that they can spot these symptoms and then they can diagnose and treat it faster.
And is there any evidence to suggest that if it is picked up earlier, then treatment can be improved or life could be enhanced as a result of the early diagnosis?
Yeah, so if there's early diagnosis, there's a lot of treatment and surgery that can be done to prevent the progression of the disease. For me, I've had the halo neck fusion, so my C1 and C2 fused back in 2004, so I was in a halo traction for 9 months. Alhamdulillah, I was lucky to have that, but unfortunately that's the only surgery I've ever had since then, because after that surgery, my airway, they had done a scan and they'd noticed there's a kink in my airway, so it's become very narrow, and to do anything further there is a big risk that I involved. So they've left all surgeries for pause at the moment until they see that the airway does become more strong or firm. But it is known for MPS patients to have the narrowing of the airway, so it can be quite difficult in that sense to do any surgical treatments on it.
Okay, so folks, you're listening to Ramadan Radio. I have Sister Aisha Seedat, excuse me, I have Sister Aisha Seedat here with us today, talking about mucopolysaccharide, MPS, and rare diseases here in the UK. She's a disability advocate and an ambassador for all things disability, but she's also a guest speaker. So if you've got a question or you'd like to understand a bit more about the condition, drop me a text, 077 488 55055. Akil, there's a number coming in on this mobile. I'm going to ignore that for now. Is that okay? You can't hear me. That's fine. But if you have got a question, I'm sure Sister Aisha will do her best to respond and answer this question. So if I can ask Sister Aisha, what was it like growing up with MPS, and what is life like now compared to what it was growing up?
Growing up, alhamdulillah, I think I had it much easier. There were less complications. I've attended mainstream schooling, college, university, and I think that all goes down to my parents, being able to let me lead a normal life, whatever that is, and that for me that's the main highlight. I think I've always tried to, have this, focus, try not let my health get in the way, and that all goes down to, Islam, my faith, what it teaches us, in fact, which I'll talk about later on. But now as I'm growing up, I'm 24 now, I do tend to struggle a little bit, with my breathing. I've got more airway complications, so it's more or less, trying to keep an eye on me to make sure I'm okay. There's a lot more visits up and down, my Manchester hospital.
Can I just ask, why Manchester? Is there nothing more closer to where you live?
Manchester is a specialist care centre, right, and that's where all the metabolic consultants are, metabolic nurses, ENT, all the specialist team are there. And to be honest, in Leicester, there are a few consultants I see here and there, but they do not know about the condition as much. And to be honest, before Ramadan, I had a bit of a blip. Well, in fact, because of the pandemic, it scared us family that if I had got COVID, how would it be treated? What would be done in emergency situations? I had no emergency care plan done. We had a very intense appointment with the intensivist, and the team in Leicester said there's not much they could do because they were too scared to do anything because of the narrowing of my airway. Obviously, as a family, we're trying to still come into terms with it. I'm able to talk about it now because it was such a long time ago I had that appointment. and it is a difficult phase, but I always rely on Manchester for everything. So I call them up. I spoke to my ENT consultant there, and he said that there are things that can be done. It is quite intense, but they'd have to take in obviously my size and weight, and to try and keep me alive in that sense. But it is a difficult process. With inshallah, I'm hoping that I'm never in an emergency situation, and if I am, everything does go smoothly, and that it doesn't affect my family.
Inshallah.
But worrying afterwards.
Listen, again, thank you so much for coming on and being so open and candid about MPS and your life. I mean, it's really inspiring, and we're getting some great texts coming in. So I'm just going to read a couple out to you right now. The question for Aisha: how have you overcome the difficulties that you faced? And the second part is: are there any initiatives that you're a part of, or things that you like to do in your free time?
So if you could read that again.
Yeah, the first one is, how have you overcome the difficulties that you faced in life?
Okay, so I'll start with that. With difficulties I've faced, I think Islam, our faith, being a Muslim, has played such a strong role. And looking at, how Prophet ﷺ used to see and treat people with various disabilities, it's very comforting. You'd have his Sahabas who are blind, and how he was so accommodating towards that. So there's one Sahaba who was blind, Abdullah ibn Maktoum. To accommodate him to be part of the Ummah, so he didn't feel so left out or so awkward, he allowed him to carry the flag during the battles of Badr and etc. And then you get all these other stories of one Sahaba having a severe limp, but he actually said that, I had a dream of him walking in Jannah without his limp, and that's comforting for me. And this life I see as a test. I know my biggest reward, I'll be okay in Jannah. Jannah is written. I try to keep myself focused and to strengthen my deen, and all these I'm constantly trying to read up on disability and Islam, and trying to focus on that, so that then I'm not falling down into such a big deep bowl of depression in that sense.
Mashallah, I have to say, you've got this beautiful smiling face as I'm talking to you, and one thing that is really evident as we're talking is that you're not going to let anything hold you back, right? You're just going to make the most of everything.
Inshallah.
Yeah, that's really good. So the second part of the question, or it might be, I'm not sure if it is the second part, but there's certainly another question is, what initiatives are you part of and that you like to do in your free time? So I think maybe aside from all the advocacy and ambassadorial work that you do, what do you like to do that, that sort of in your spare time that you particularly enjoy?
I think for myself, I would like to, trying to, I think this goes back to, how people in this day and age treat disabilities, and how they always link it back to culture. Now people get confused with culture and faith, and this is something I've always wanted to do, to try and set the foundation straight, that disability should not be seen from a cultural point of view, but from an Islamic perspective. If our prophets could accept that, why should we be looked down upon in a cultural perspective? There's always that stigma, so I'm to create more awareness around that. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that, but maybe more talks, leading up to that. On the other side, something I've not really mentioned on the show today, but I do a lot of other charity work, in third world countries, so Malawi, for example.
Okay.
I have known and I've seen and I've had connections with my consultant, ex-consultant, in fact, in Manchester, who has gone out into Malawi and seeing that there are rare diseases, and in fact there are a lot of MPS patients, and obviously because of the lack of resources, there's no knowledge, there's no doctors that are able to diagnose patient, because they've all come from villages, and obviously they're poor, they're in need of money, and healthcare you do have to pay, and it's something that I'm looking to try and that in the future maybe try and set up a rare disease organisation there, so that all the children feel welcome. The doctors can understand it as well.
Yeah. Okay. So we've had some more texts coming in. We've had a sister saying she's got a young teenage daughter who's been in a halo and also has a subluxation. I can't say this now. Subluxation on her C1 and C2. Mm-hmm. She knows exactly how invasive the procedure is and how rare it is to. And she's saying, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and may you continue to do the remarkable work that you are doing. So, getting lots of great sort of engagement and positivity on the text right now. So that's really good. So let's talk a bit about some of the work you're doing with Demontfort University. Now, I think you graduated not long ago. Is that right?
Yeah, in 2019, in fact.
What was that in?
I did a BA Honours in Health Studies.
Okay, and what was that like?
That was amazing, because coming from a college where I had quite a difficult time, my health deteriorated towards the end of my A level, and then going into university, I didn't think I was going to start university. I didn't think that I was going to get in or be able to study. But alhamdulillah, 3 years went by like really swiftly. I was able to study, go to most of my lectures. Obviously I did have some 1 or 2 days where I wasn't able to attend, but the support from Demontfort University was great, and it really helped in that sense. And come graduation day, I think it's still a shock then that I've actually graduated, whereas I've always put myself down, but the people around me always knew I could do it in that sense. But yeah, alhamdulillah, if I could go back and do those 3 years again, I probably would.
I mean, absolutely, because they say that university is one of the greatest sort of times in somebody's life because of the people you meet, the journey that you go on. I'd like to ask and understand a bit more about what was it like from an accessibility perspective going to the university? I mean, was it surprising, less surprising, or were you expecting to have certain, accommodations and adaptations for you in place to help you feel like, I don't want to say a normal student, but somebody, a regular student who doesn't have a condition?
So, alhamdulillah, when I first went to Demontfort, there was accessibility already in place, and that's only because a student who had just graduated before me, he had a severe disability, so everything was put in place for him. And with that in mind, they had thought of the future, students that would come with disabilities. And Demontfort University is known to be very supportive to all kinds of disabilities, whether in a wheelchair, whether you're blind, etc. So I was able to attend all my lectures. If I attend a lift, I could. If I, it's everything was all on level access, so I didn't have that issue. I never had an issue where I couldn't attend a lecture because, of it being not accessible. So in that sense, everything was made to almost perfection for me at my time at university.
Okay, great stuff. So you graduated, and that was obviously an incredible feeling, a sense of achievement. But you also, are you working with the university now as a guest speaker? Tell us a bit more about that.
So when I finished university, there was my lecturer had mentioned that there is this role where I can, go into university on a very ad hoc basis, and the degree that I had studied. So basically to give out small lectures. So my family would call me a lecturer. No, this is where they get mixed up. So I go in and give small sessions. So I do this around because my dissertation was on mental health and university students. I would go in and talk about, my dissertation, or, give them like for example, activities, stuff like that. So it becomes like a teaching session. And in the pandemic, I've carried that on throughout. So talking about living with lived experiences with mental health, with a disability as well. And inshallah, next year, hopefully, I'm able to go back onto campus and to talk about all these things.
Mashallah, incredible stuff, and I hope, inshallah, we'd love to hear more about that if you are able to get back on campus. So please do come back and talk to us next year as part of the programming, inshallah. I did have a question that just totally escaped my mind right now. I've done that text, Akil, so thanks for that. Let's just remind the listeners of the number if they've got any questions or comments for you, Aisha. 077 488 55055. I am in conversation, enlightening, sparkling conversation, I might add, with Sister Aisha Seedat, a mucopolysaccharide advocate. See, I can say it quite easily now. It just rolls off the tongue, no problem. And a disability advocate. And we are talking about her journey and what it's like to be a young person with a condition living in Leicester. Now, we've talked about, mashallah, you're so positive in your outlook and everything. You seem to take everything as it comes, and you don't seem to let it affect you. Tell us a bit more about sort of your friend circle and how they are with you and what that's like.
You're putting me on the spot, yeah. Of my friends, I think it's normal, like just every other friendship you have your ups and downs. I think growing up there, I've not had any difficulty in that sense, making friends. I'm very a sociable, I can get on with people easily, having the same likes and dislikes, which work, well. Obviously there are some tough times, that you go through, especially in the pandemic. I did lose some of my friends in terms of, because we weren't seeing so much of each other, and now it's a case of everything opening back up now, so you can, communicate, strengthening that bond. Also, I think it's very important to have a strong, friendship circle, to have that support there, not only just from friends but your family too, because it keeps you motivated, keeps you uplifted and very, ongoing as well. So in that sense, it keeps your spirits up as well.
Okay, so you mentioned about Islam and culture earlier on in the program, and I want to talk a bit more about culture in particular. Now, we know within Islam, the Prophet ﷺ was, the best example when it came to equality and inclusion. He went out of his way to make sure everybody felt a part of the movement. Everybody felt included, and that everybody had a contribution to make, regardless of ability or whatever it was. Now, making the distinction between culture and religion is really important, and I always say that whenever I'm talking to anyone about Islam, and when things are presented in the media about certain aspects that take place and people associated with Islam, which is completely wrong. But let's talk a bit about sort of culture, and we're going to generalize a little bit here, but where do you feel more needs to be done within our culture, and I'm talking about the South Asian culture generally, around perception, reality, and the treatment of people who use wheelchairs?
So with culture, like you said, it's always about perception of how people view it. There's that clash. And I think because not many people knew about, a Prophet's days of, how many of the Sahabas had a disability, or how it was so accepted. People would run. The people of Medina, Makkah, when someone had disability, just to be with that person, because they knew how much reward it contained. Now, looking back on culture, there's that whole stigma around it, from often the mother gets blamed for something that's gone wrong in the pregnancy. The child is often seen as a curse. It's like extended family already plan out your future when it's like I can plan out my own future, because I'm able to, for example, you can't study, you can't work, you can't get married, you can't have kids, and that's all looked down upon. And going forward, I'd like to, really mention that, to be, for us to be, seen, accepted and heard, because, without all these things, we tend to feel already so isolated. And we need that acceptance, that support from people. And if there's a lot of cultural differences, there's no there's no support mechanism there. We're always going to be looked down upon, and that's not good for someone's mental health either. If that keeps carrying on, and that's something I've always looked at. There's always that stigma surrounding someone with a disability in this day and age even.
Okay, so we've had another text come in, and I've got another question after that. So Sister Sumia has just texted. I got to know Aisha through work and then on a personal level. She is such a strong woman with an amazing heart, and I'm so proud of her. And I know that she will achieve everything she wants, inshallah. That is an incredible testimony to you as an individual, Sister Aisha. I mean, the fact that she says how strong you are, and that has definitely come across as we've been talking this afternoon. And you certainly seem like a very determined young sister, which is great. So thank you, Jazakallah, Sister Samia, for that. Is there anything you'd like to say if Samia is listening right now?
No, I actually met through Sister Samia through previous work, and when I was looking for someone to have on as I was setting up an event on disability and cultural stigma and fact, and Sister Samia came on because her son is autistic, and it's amazing, and I give my hats off to her as a mother as well for caring for her son who's got a disability herself. She's gone out to Somalia recently and tried to undo the stigma around disability so they can be ready for when she takes her son back home, and so that he's not looked down upon, so there's no shame. And mashallah, she's doing so great as a mother who's got a son with a disability, so my hats off go to her as well.
Mashallah. Incredible stuff. Can I just ask, Aisha, so do you feel that people, when they come across you or they meet you for the first time, do you feel people are sometimes unsure how to interact or engage or communicate with you as somebody who's in a wheelchair? And what would you say to people? I mean, I guess you just, like everyone, you just want people to come and say hello or be treated like anybody else would. But I guess sometimes, the natural reaction is curiosity, or they're a bit reluctant, unsure, because they don't want to cause offense. What would you say to those people?
I do get that quite often when some people, when I've seen or met for the first time, they obviously can see the curiosity in their eyes, but they wouldn't, they don't ask. But I'm sort of like a very open book. I'm just like, I'll tell you things as it is. Like I am telling you about my condition. I can go off on.
And I'm so glad you are, because, I'm sure a lot of people would have questions about this, and it's great to learn. So we, as we go forward, we are aware and we know what it means to people. So, sorry, continue.
Yeah, sorry, say that again.
So, yeah, just about how you would like people to interact and engage with you.
So, how to be treated is just like everyone else. If you see me in the streets or someone who's got a disability, I mean, I'm sure other people, like even with a disability, they don't tend to hold themselves back. They don't take offense. You can always ask, and it's quite it's not the younger generation that do that. It's the older generation, in fact, that would look, and they won't know what to do or say. And
is it like they're almost trying to avoid eye contact or avoid you completely, so they don't have to? It puts them in an awkward situation for them. Think, I need to say something now, but I'm not quite sure what to say.
Yeah, I think it's that, or they don't want to cause offence, or that they don't know how to say it. So they do tend to like avoid eye contact, or things like that. But I think people with various disabilities are all so engaging. Talking to them, even if it's just not about their disability, or even just smiling at them, waving at them, it makes them feel almost welcomed in a way, and that even that goes far as well.
Absolutely. All right, we've got some more text coming in, which is great. If you've got a question or a comment you'd like to make, send us a text on 077 488 55055. That's also a WhatsApp number. So if you're on WhatsApp, guys, you should have this number saved in your phone by now. Ramadan FM, we're always doing this. You know how it is. Aisha is a very optimistic individual and very admirable. Here. I definitely agree with that. I agree we should be doing all we can to normalize people with disabilities, and that they can progress in life in terms of education, work, marriage, etc. More needs to be done for others to educate others on this. Absolutely agree with that. What does Aisha suggest could be done further to combat these stigmas? I mean, you've talked a bit about it already, Aisha, but just sort of elaborate on some of that if you can.
To combat, for example, like to combat these differences, to make them feel more welcome, seen, understood, heard. I think not to let people with disabilities feel left out in that sense, to welcome them in every situation, in every conversation. They shouldn't be left to feel alone, or things like that. It in a sense, don't make them feel isolated than they already feel so, because the more they feel like that, the more their, like I said, their mental health would deteriorate. And not only that, remember that, mental health also impacts on the physical health as well.
Absolutely.
So if you're already feeling so low, physically you feel unwell generally as well, and that takes a long time to, for us, people with disabilities, low immune system, to, get back up on track, to feel more better in ourselves.
Okay, great stuff. So that's the message, is, inclusion at every aspect of life, conversation, whether it's employment, home, work, school, education. Now, Aisha, you and I were sort of having a Twitter conversation earlier this week about something which really, really winds me up personally. And I want you, don't hold back, tell our listeners, especially the brothers who go to the masjid. My late mother was in a wheelchair for the last couple of years of her life. And one thing that you said really, it would break my heart and almost make me cry, is that when brothers, they come to the masjid or whatever it is, they park blocking across a dropped curb. And I'm thinking, how is a person in a wheelchair going to cross the road? Because it literally becomes impossible for that person to then, carry on with their journey.
Yeah, it's absolutely horrendous. I mean, I think Evington Road is known for it, every other road. And it's like, obviously I have a powered wheelchair, I have to be careful that I use drop curb and stuff like that. But how do I cross the road when the car's in the way? And I'm obviously getting annoyed. Do I put a window on put a sticky note on the window? Do I just wait and stand there looking like a complete, fool until someone...
Ram their cars, Aisha. Just take your wheelchair and just ram it. Just cause a big dent in their Range Rover. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. And I think I'm going to have to do that if they don't listen. So
no, but seriously, I think...
No, please don't do that. No. We don't want any problems with Ofcom, please.
But people with pushchairs, buggies, people who are in wheelchairs, how do they cross the road? Because what I see is brothers, they park there, they're sitting in their car on their phone, and when you ask them to, politely move forward about, they're not interested. And I'm thinking, forget me, somebody who's not in a wheelchair. What about people who, rely on this to get from one side of the road to the other? They've got no other option. And here you are deliberately, inconsiderately blocking someone's right of way. It's not right. It's not on.
Yeah, it's astonishing, because the government or even the council spend millions and millions to create this special ramp, to create this special pathway so people with disabilities can go into them. And here we are driving, and even if you park to go pray namaz, how can you go pray namaz if you are disrupting somebody? I can't understand.
Absolutely. But anyway, listen, what else would you like to say on that? So let's make the conversation a bit more positive. What do you think needs to be done to help everyone, consider people in wheelchairs as part of their day-to-day routine?
When it comes to parking, I think definitely park somewhere where, it's not going to cause any hindrance. I'll be gone somewhere, I've left the car, I've come back, and because I have to go, I have a wheelchair accessible vehicle and I have to go up behind using the ramp, and I can't get in because someone's already blocked the back. So that's a wheelchair vehicle, so park at least 6 meters away, or so that the ramp can actually get down, or be more considerate of your surroundings, because it gets horrendous. It's really absolutely ridiculous at times. And I've known a friend of mine on Instagram who's done a lot of this campaigning, and she's trying to get the message out. And I don't know if people are actually listening, because I do hear of stories like, cars blocking, the masjid, like coming up for Tarawih is completely horrendous, and they need to be more considerate, to have, parking bays, coordinated properly and park in those parking bays rather than, ramming and parking, just anywhere.
Okay, so Sister Aisha, as we've been on, I've had some request for people to get in touch with you. Would that be okay? How can people contact you, or is it okay for people to contact you if they've got any questions or would like you to maybe answer something for people that they know? Is that okay? How can they contact you?
Yeah, that's fine. So you can contact me on Instagram, and my name is IAMAISH. That's IAMAISH. Or if on Facebook, you can just send me a message on Facebook using my name, Aisha Seedat. And I'm easily contactable at any time. Any day.
So I think if it's okay, I'm going to pass your details on to my friend here who's asked for you. Yeah. Is that okay? And then she'll get in touch with you. Listen, Aisha, we've got just under 3 minutes left of the program, and I'd like to give this opportunity to you to give a mention, a shout out, or just let people know what you're doing for Eid this year. Over to you. Come on.
Sorry, my hearing went a bit there. So what did you say?
I just want to say that, give you the opportunity now. We've got a couple of minutes left of the program. What would you like to say to our listeners, and let us know what you're doing for Eid this year?
For Eid, I think it might be a quiet one this year with my close family members, just how I like it, like every year, and just hoping my grandparents,
Inshallah.
In that sense, inshallah. But I've got another special mention. I know my family in Malawi are listening, so I want to give my love and salams to them as well.
Alaikum salam.
Supporting me and cheering me on wherever they are and whenever they can. So I wish we all lived closer in that sense, and because I do miss it back home, being with family and friends.
Okay, well, listen, Aisha, it has been, I think, one of the highlights for me personally, talking and learning about mucopolysaccharide diseases in the UK. So Jazakallah khair for coming on. And again, it was so refreshing to have an open and frank conversation with someone who's living through this condition. So I wish you all the very best. Keep in touch with Ramadan FM. Come back anytime next year, inshallah, to talk about whatever weird and wonderful things you're doing. We want to wish you all the very best. We want to wish your grandparents the very best, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give your grandfather a swift and full recovery, and may he give him a long, healthy, prosperous life. And I'm so grateful for your time this afternoon on Ramadan Radio. So folks, that was Sister Aisha Seedat. Get in touch with her. Check her out on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of that. She's a wicked little sister, and she's going to blow things up. I just know it. So make sure you keep an eye on her. So I got 30 seconds left. Don't forget, it's the Ramadan Rahma fundraiser tomorrow. Yes, Maulana Khalil and the gang are back tomorrow from 2 p.m. onwards, and make sure you tune in then. I'll be joining them as well at some point, and we put the fun into fundraising. Don't forget to join me on Monday, where I've got the General Secretary of the Muslim Council of Britain, Sister Zara Muhammad, coming on. So that's going to be a big one, and I want everyone to tune in and send in your questions before then. But have a fantastic weekend. Have a great remainder of the Friday.